Hello, and welcome to Lands Unknown. My name is Will, and today I'm joined by Let's Have a Kiki, Miles and Jake.
That's
Hello.
now that's all
Um,
gonna be in my head.
yeah. No, we're joined by Let's Have a Bouba, and we are continuing to map the Boubaverse. You may notice today that I did not put comments on the stage. That we are starting in G plates, and that is where we are going to be doing our hot and cold spots. Uh, And what's fun about that is that I can do all the measurements in G plates, and then we can just export it when we want to do the isotherms later, probably on the iPad when I
Mm.
put the pen. I can give the pen pretty high stability, so it gives a very smooth curve. Um, so that would be ideal. Otherwise, um, yeah, otherwise I'd be measuring on G plates and then drawing it on the iPad, and then usually I go back and forth and check. So, and we've already got some folks. Hello, Writer Two and Kate. And I have been encoding the episode that's soon to come out. So after this, I will continue encoding it. So hopefully it will be finished for tomorrow, and then give a couple days for the patrons who are explorers to see it, and then try to release it on, I don't know, maybe the Thursday. But I definitely need to figure out the RAM situation.
Ooh.
It seems to be a very common issue at the moment. Figuring out the RAM. Oh, okay. Has anything been going on in the extended Boubaverse this week?
We're very close. I think we have more or less finalized the release of the extended relay saga.
Correct.
Wow.
That
Uh,
was very
Is this
early.
George's relay?
No, this is
no.
our own internal one that I had
Oh,
started in January, and it kind of just like the ball was rolling and then kind of like as relays do, it started off long, it became longer, and then there was just a large like delay in the middle, and then it just kind of like fully like unraveled itself, and just kind of now we've kind of fully got it in a place where things are centralized and can be shared out.
okay. And are the languages for fun, or are they a part of the Boubaverse?
So the language that I started with was one that I had made prior to Bouba,
Mm.
and just kind of folks in the community contributed their own languages as the relay kind of went on. Jake, I don't know if you used a Bouba language in it or
Yeah, I
not.
use Bokus.
That's what I thought you had. Okay.
Okay, very cool. And how
And it's
many folks participated in it?
There were two
20?
rings. Yeah, so 10 or 9 per
Oh, wow.
ring. Yeah. So
That's
hopefully
pretty
there's
cool.
enough like differences in the text that like the meeting has like slowly started to like unthread, but I
Hmm.
haven't really seen too much of the results quite yet. I want to be a little bit more surprised when I kind of go through it and such.
I think that's kind of the goal.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to have I don't know, if you had a conlang relay and everything was pretty close at the end, I would consider that a failure.
Hmm.
Uh,
Like a game of
um,
broken telephone where it's the same at the end. It's like, well,
Yeah.
that's not fun. That's not the game.
And like once we hopefully sort of like get these results out, like I'm going to talk about kind of like some portions that I won't say like I intentionally wanted folks to kind of like slip up on, but like because it's the same language but different dialects of it, different expressions and different derivations were kind of in either ring. So kind of to see kind of how those little meanings maybe could have been either misconstrued and then kind of like went on to like even like further those differences.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's really exciting. Do you have an ETA?
Well, I just realized that it would be in 6 days' time.
Oh,
But I know that we're still waiting on a few people's Englishes still, I think. So I'm gonna like do a check before we make it official.
Launch off. Yeah.
very cool.
The people here for Flabs Unknown are getting the inside scoop.
Flabs Unknown?
Mm-hmm.
That was
I've
Lance
also
having a
got-
booba.
Let's have a hotspot. I want to have a hotspot stuck in my head.
Hotspot.
You want to have a hotspot?
Yeah, I want to have a hotspot. Lock the isotherms tight.
Goodness.
The fine-tipped brush.
Speaking of hotspots, or not speaking of hotspots, very quickly, we can. I mean, this is not the final sort of version of the isotherms. We're marking in a rough version, just because for the hot and cold spots, you do need to know where warm and cool currents are. You do need to know where you're likely not to have precipitation in certain times of the year when you want to establish your deserts and things like that. So that is the important reason as to why we do it. And I was just kind of doing it last time. I mean, I did provide some guidance, I suppose, and I was also describing kind of the mechanisms for it. But there are some more examples that we can look at. And for that, I am going to show a different. I'm gonna show a different screen for a sec that can, kind of help people out in making their circulation maps, particularly like their pressure and their wind maps. And to do that, I have to stop screen, then I have to share screen, and then I have to allow.
That sounds right.
And then I have to click it again. Boom. Excellent. Cool. So, this is Deutsche Wetterdienst, and here we have some pressure maps. These are average pressure maps. These are average sea surface level pressure maps for months. And so...
Oh, I see, yeah.
So this is 2026 January. And, I mean, January is kind of what we're working from. Yes, you did not miss it. Brilliant. Welcome, welcome. So here we can see in January in the northern hemisphere, we've got this very large high pressure zone formed over the Siberian High here, Lake Baikal. This is where the sort of, what do we call it? Hypercontinental. This is where our hypercontinental zones would be, and then we have a continental
Do we
zone.
have proof it's not the seals?
Yes, not the seals. Though, I mean, the seals may be contributing depending on what kind of, tutelary spirit that they worship. Speaking of which, the great green dragon, who is the ground upon which we live, and whose golden tail is the shining sun, has decided, in their eternal wisdom, to shroud our area today in their voluminous patagium. So it is a bit of a cloudy day, which is a nice change.
How would you verbalize that? Patagimated?
What, like?
If one is shrouded with patagium, patagimized?
I don't think that's. I don't. I mean, you're not turning something into potassium.
Mm.
I guess you've blanketed, you've potassiumated,
Ooh.
Oh.
maybe
Blankets.
potassiumated.
Mm-hmm.
That's my analogy there. That's how we're doing it. We can see how the bands work here for the winter, right? So you can see that there's this. Yeah, you can see my mouse moving along.
Fully.
You can see that this is kind of where the ITCZ is going along here,
Mm.
where the T, it's German, but like the T is the low pressure zones.
Yeah.
T is the low pressure zone.
The T is the low pressure
That
zones.
is key.
That's the T.
That's the
and we
T.
And we can see that there's a monsoon here over
Okay.
northern Australia,
Mm.
right? And this, to stress, this is also sea surface level. So there are certain areas that are at elevation which may have different pressure. This is something that we're going to note when we switch to July, and we'll look at July in 2025 because 2026 July isn't over yet. And then there's these high pressure areas around 30 degrees. They are pushed south because when the low pressure zone, the ITCZ, moves south, it also pushes these high pressure zones south as well. And I mean, the Andes has a high pressure zone at sea level, but it's a little different when it's higher up. And then there's the low pressure zone that is around Antarctica. And then they don't collect data for down there, but there's also high pressure at the top of the Antarctic ice sheets.
Ah.
And in the north, because these low pressure zones have moved further south, so have the ones up here, and they've also grown in strength.
Love compensation.
Especially in here. We have a high pressure zone covering a decent amount of North America. We also, as I mentioned before, have that high pressure zone with Lake Baikal. And then in between here, we have these low pressure zones. And this is where those winter cyclones are coming from. And then up at the top, there would also be some high pressure. You can see some of the little H's up there. But this is just 1 month. So when we look at something like the Köppen climate maps, they're looking at normals, and normals now are 30 years. So you're averaging the total monthly precipitation as well as the daily mean temperature for every month across 30 years. So you have 30 Januaries, that you're taking data from when you're putting together those maps. For this, you're just looking at 1 month from 1 year. And just to illustrate, boom.
Ooh.
Okay, a little bit different.
It's a little bit different. Broadly the same, right? We can see the ITCZs down here. These places are low. This is low. We can see the high over the Andes. We have highs down here, just below, 30 degrees south. We've got that big low pressure zone here. Up here as well, we have a high in there. We've got the same sort of shape. The seals have changed their ritual worship. We have the low pressure in here and over here. And then the high is just sort of a little different here, because it stretches out. But you can get a sense of what the normal thing is, like the average of January, by going back and kind of looking at these, right? So, right now in the northern hemisphere during the winter, your high pressure zones are going to sit on or just below 30 degrees north when they're over water, and in the summer in the south, they sit on or above, right, the 30 degree mark. So they're so it's just kind of shifting these things, and then we can also compare. Let's go back. So let's go 2025. We can compare January to July, and here we can see quite a marked difference, especially over Afro-Eurasia, where we have all of these areas shifting from high pressure to low pressure. And we can see that, the ITCZ, like the area that we're interested in, moves through the Sahara, right? Around 20 degrees or so, right? Cutting through there. And then what we're interested in rises up to about 30 and then, peels out and rolls down to near the equator down here. In North America, we can see that we have a low pressure zone in here. The North American monsoon is not as marked. It's not as extreme. We have a less land area where the ITCZ would rise over, so it doesn't get as hot. It doesn't the air isn't rising up as much, so it's not creating that big of a zone. There's just less there. And the mountains aren't as high, all of these sorts of things contribute to it. But it also has its own sort of pattern to it in how it forms and how that low pressure zone moves. And of course, depending on the year, you can find some years that are more that have bigger lows than others. Here we go. So 2023, we can see that there's a very marked low pressure area in there. And we can see up here as well, we can see high pressure because, the ridges of those mountains, as I mentioned before, you're going to have at the top of very high mountains, they're going to have high pressure up there. And then you're going to have low pressure at sea level, and at some point they're going to meet. And I can actually show you an example of that in the moment. But when you're looking at making your pressure maps, this site is a very good resource for checking out the different months and the ways that the pressure can change. And you can also see things like, why we have Mediterranean climates. So, here's the high pressure zone right here in the summer in July. You can see that it's kind of covering and right beside where we have those kind of Mediterranean areas, right? And then in the winter, let's go to winter. Is that the best? This is why the averaging isn't the best. Yeah. So then we have in the winter, the core of these high pressure zones have moved south. And that would allow, especially here, we can see it, where the high pressure zone has moved south based on where it is. And, so we could see how I was drawing it before, how on the eastern side of the high pressure zone, it's very sharp in how it comes down. It almost comes parallel. So you're not getting any precipitation, and we can see kind of how that happens here. Meanwhile, in January, when it moves further south, it is going to be shooting it over. It's going to be whipping precipitation over it. And that's where you get it from.
That makes sense.
Oh, hello, Marijen. Yes. Marine. Yes, that could also work. New avatars, new handles to pronounce. So yes, this has a lot of use. I mean, there is like on Encyclopedia Britannica, they have like a very standard sea level pressure, like average for summer and winter that they use. That's great. If you want more data points and you want more detail, this is a great open source thing that you can access. The second one was close. Wonderful. Oh, you've been here before. Excellent. I think I've done like, this is the 34th live, which is wild. You also didn't know your face or the other two people. Wow. Yeah. I think faces are a little newer.
Yes.
Yeah. I wasn't originally doing faces. Faces emerged later. This is Null School.
So pretty.
I like this.
Yeah. And this is showing wind at surface level, at sea surface level. Yeah. And what this is useful for is sort of looking at how the winds move, right? What I will note about this is that this is showing daily wind patterns. So it is not capturing that the averages we're looking for, but it does show, for example,
Looks terrible.
whoop, it does show these, storms that roll through these low pressure areas, these cyclones that are coming down, which is quite useful. So we can
Ooh.
go over here and we can see that there is like a high pressure area in here. Because, if we look over at this in July, just as an example, there we go. This is closer to what it is right now. So here's a high pressure zone here, and you can see what it looks like along here. And if you want to know what the winds look like in this scenario, this is what they would look like, right? There's a high pressure zone here. It's moving wind into, kind of central and northern Europe. So it would be wet. There would be rain. But along the coast of Spain and Portugal here, it's moving parallel. So they're not getting that like ocean sort of precipitation along there right now. Or if they are, where are we? No. Yeah, it's they're getting
It
it
would be
kinda,
where they meet the picos, right?
there we go.
Ooh,
So we can see where they're coming
whoa.
down and where they're getting that precipitation, right? So they're getting the precipitation because it is kind of coming down and getting through there. No, there wouldn't. Yes, no. I was right the first time. It is the summer. They wouldn't be getting that much precipitation.
Yeah.
They could be getting precipitation in the mountains, but what is important is that we have this parallel wind going along the coast. And that's what we are thinking about for the summer for Mediterranean climates. We can look at the winter. Yes. 2026, January 2026 already happened.
Yep.
All right. Woo!
Oh, yeah. What? That's drastically different.
So now we can see,
Whatever.
there's a huge low pressure system going on here that's whipping things around. And there's a high pressure system that's lower down, right? And what we talked about over here, if we go January, whoop. So this dropped. It went
Yeah.
from here to down here. And when it drops, it moves wind over it in a different fashion. And then, of course, this is a very powerful cyclone that we have right now. Maybe we can pick a day that does not have the cyclone.
Goodness.
Yeah, that's fine. So, we have this precipitation coming in, moving this way. And of course, on a daily level, these are going to change, right? Like, yes, there are some days in the winter where, let's go to where I am in the Pacific Northwest here. There are going to be some days in the winter where you are not going to have precipitation, right? And that's just going to be the sort of daily changes of the high pressure systems, right?
Yeah.
And you can check, and you can look, and you can see how these things change over the period you're interested in. And what's nice about this is you can zoom in, you can see all of the changes that are happening, and then you can also zoom out, and you can see the sort of broader currents of circulation that are happening. And what is kind of important about some of these things too is when you are looking at what would be a good, let's do that and see what happens. Okay, here we go. Great. One thing that we can look at as well is sort of the broader the broader systems we have. We can look at how, like, when I was drawing it, I put in a high pressure system. Of course, you would want to put one on the eastern side of your ocean. But then you can also have another pocket of high pressure on the western side of your ocean. And this is useful for the world builder because it gives you something to help model the circulation and the currents. It gives you another point to look at. But it is also something that happens. But we can see, even within these 2 points, where we have, one here and one here, broadly speaking. I mean, we have a ridge here and we have another pocket. But we can see how this circulation is sort of moving in this broad shape.
Space. Yeah.
Right? And that is the shape that this somewhat describes. So we're always building these very Bouba-ish shapes.
Yeah.
For the high pressure systems over the ocean that are, I don't know, larger, cover more latitude in the east than they do in the west.
It's kind of like they're acting as like foci for like the shape that's kind of like being formed around the circulation pattern. So it kind of like, to me, I'm understanding it's kind of like a sort of like balancing and equilibrium of those sort of like forces at hand.
Mm-hmm. And then the other thing I was talking about over here, let's see. Yes, great. So we can see the monsoon.
Oh, shit.
Very nice, coming all in there. And
Hurricane Bianca is coming.
We can see, wonderful. So we can also see at the tops of these, where are we? We can see along this ridge here, we can see the wind coming down on either side due to the high pressure. And so then along where we have these ridges of high and low pressure, and where we have, a mountain, like this is, where the kind of Himalayas starts, right? That is where we will see a lot of precipitation from where the low pressure system is hitting this high pressure system and causing the precipitation to fall. So we have, and you can actually just look at it and see it in this map. However, you wouldn't want to map the pressure zones necessarily that you see on any given day of null school for the winds. You do want to be looking at the averages, because the averages are where we get the Köppen climate from. Wasn't there a pressure overlay on this site? There may be a pressure overlay. Do we have one right now? Water table, clouds. There we go. Nice.
Ooh, look at that. Good eye.
There we go. See? So we can see this high pressure ridge that I was talking about before. This makes it a lot easier to talk about. We have the high pressure ridge here, and then we have the darker color, which is the low pressure. It's very common to use, like purple and yellow for, low and high pressure respectively. Good, are those contrasted colors, complementary colors?
Yeah.
Complementary.
Here we go. And then when we look over here, yes, we can see there's a high pressure zone here. High pressure zone here actually shows us the shape a little bit better.
Yeah, love that.
This is what happens when you wake up and start streaming first thing in the morning. Oh.
And hi, Willows.
How are you? World Building Festival.
Great. Oh, the World Building Festival! Yay!
World Building Festival.
Hello, Jorge.
Hi, Wilhost.
Everybody doing today? I'm doing early. That's how I'm doing. And then what is this? This is the summer. So then we can look at the winter very quickly. And you can just see the change in colors.
Oh,
Boom!
Wow.
Look at
There's a
that.
low pressure cyclone. Very fun. There's more low pressure cyclones that we have over here. So, and this just, I feel that this sort of stresses the point where doing the low pressure in your maps, just keeping in mind that you do have these low pressure storms moving up and down the coast is very useful for the summer and winter, depending on where it's happening, because then that will help correct some of the common issues that people tend to see when they're manually mapping, which usually involves, areas that are very dry in one season or another, because they're only sort of taking certain circulation systems into effect and not necessarily including, like, extra precipitation that could come from things like having a warm current beside you, or these sort of low pressure storms and things. And then the fun thing here too, in the winter, we can very commonly, let's see if we can get it on a different day as well, just because again this is okay. Yeah. So yeah, then we could, there we go. And this we can see in the, this is the, what day did I pick? 2024 January. Great. Yes, and we can see the high pressure system, moving pretty far north, which is, covering a lot of this. And we can also see where some of the precipitation comes from in North Africa and whatnot, because we can see how the wind changes and moves, pushing it over. Strong Dutch representation in the chat today. Yes. But this can help give you a sort of broader understanding of what the circulation looks like. You can see how the wind moves depending on where it is around a system, and I think this is a pretty decent example down here. Nice. So you can see on the east and the west, it is steeper, and that has more gradual movement in the north and the south. So, kind of giving us the shape that we want. It's not spiraling out equally. There's always going to be
the slingshot-ish sort of.
Yeah, that sort of like Nike swoosh sort of look to it. That'll help you model the winds, right? So it's like it's longer or wider, I guess, along the top and the bottom going east to west, and it tends to be much steeper, much shorter when it's east to west when the wind is going north south. And I guess I talked about where the precipitation comes from with the Caribbean here. We can see how the wind shoots in here and then comes up along either side, right?
That makes so much sense.
So this is where a lot of precipitation comes from. And if we didn't have this, if this was all covered in, then the that sort of arid prairie would stretch further east. And on here as well, we can kind of see where the high pressure tends to sit.
It just hovers over there a little bit.
I mean, again, it's a changes depending on it, but like where we do have like high pressure sitting commonly in the west, kind of limits some of the extent, right, of where the precipitation can get to. And then we can also see that it, this circulates and shoots it up this way, and then this would kind of prevent that precipitation from getting in. All right, so that was, these two sites can be used for helping you do some manual mapping. and also understanding why I'm making the decisions that I'm making.
And fluids are cool.
Fluids are cool.
Fluids do so many fun things.
Sometimes they're hot, Miles.
And sometimes they're gases, and that's the best part about them.
Yes, that is a very northern high for January. That's when we're working with the daily stuff. It can be, if you're just picking random days like I am, it can be kind of difficult to find good examples. And as I said earlier in this series, I am not preparing anything. I'm just doing it live.
Doing it live.
In the spirit of alive.
Hmm.
All right, so we are going to now remove that.
Oh, tell me about it, Moraine. I absolutely agree.
And now we're going to go back to G plates.
This kind of math is the one that I don't have to do.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Napier Stokes equations for the win.
Yes, so now you can see why I made the shapes I made and why I, did the swooshes I did. I mean, this one's a little meh, but I aired my grievances about. Here we go, yeah. Why I made the shapes I made and why I did the things I did. Some of these are going to be, and these then become distorted. That's why I think if your computer can do it, drawing it in Blender is very useful. The other thing you can do is, draw some lines or make some points in G plates and then export it. Or what I usually do is I just do it and then put it into, G projector or G plates or something, look at it and then change it later. And you can't see what I'm doing. This is
No. I'm sorry.
I thought I already did it.
You
There we go.
Yay.
All right.
Okay. Cool.
If it seems like I'm talking about something that you should be able to
Okay.
see, it's probably because I didn't do the last step. All right. So for the hot and the cold spots, the first one that we kind of want to do would be the arid hot spots, and this is over land near the summer tropic. And we can extend them north and south from there. But ours are going to be quite limited to this area in here. So I am going to, here we go. Got our little tool here. Probably not going to be just along the coast here because you're probably going to get some precipitation into the southern part of this, especially during the summer. Where did my toolbar go? There we go. And let's see the winter. Yeah, okay. So we would want it in here. It'll probably go up into here as well. This is going to be Mediterranean. Yes. So let's do... And we could always change these things later. And as we were looking at, right, like the LTCZ goes over the Intertropical Convergence Zone, goes over the Sahara. Like, it goes into the Sahara. It's just one, the Sahara is pretty big.
Yep.
So it goes pretty deep into the Sahara. Two, precipitation does go there.
Yeah.
Precipitation does get into the Sahara. In like Burkina Faso and the Sahel and stuff like that. Like, you can get 800, 900 millimeters of precipitation. The thing is it's just so hot that getting, even getting like 400 or 500 millimeters is not going to be enough for it not to be a desert.
Mm.
However, London receives like 600 millimeters, and we consider it a very rainy place. There are places in the Sahel and the Sahara that receive more precipitation than London does, but they are still deserts. So,
Arrow stream.
Arrow stream.
I have two points. As you were drawing that, Will, it was before you kind of added on that little left-hand side, it was giving kind of wug shape. So very cute.
oh, a wug. Yeah,
yes. And
That
then
was
the second
giving,
point
fat
is
wug.
a very Bouba bloated wug. Yes.
FWE, fat wug energy.
But saying arrow stream reminded me of like an airstream. And as we were walking this morning, I saw this like it was an RV, but it was like kind of like a compact one. But the bed of the truck looked like a semi, and it had like a flat bed on the back that you could kind of like open up and kind of like raise up. I thought it was like maybe for like a horse or like horses, but it looked fully kind of like a Winnebago like exterior like caravan camper RV thing. And it was a very confusing melding of those components of a vehicle that was very interesting to warrant at least this description. But that was where I was going.
Arrow stream.
Arrow stream.
All right.
Now it kind of gives Hershey Kiss. Hershey Kiss.
Call me by my cat's name. The
Yes.
sequel to Call Me by My.
The arrow stream. Yes, yes. Well, I thought the arrow stream was last time.
This is the blob stream.
This is blob stream.
Blob stream.
So yeah, we're gonna have our kind of hotspot kind of in here. I mean, we can make it more blobby later. It's fine. All of these things are about carving it out, right? Making a shape, and then when you're actually doing the isotherms, you'll see how it goes.
Yes.
Like this is for you, right? Like this is for you as the world builder to kind of get a sense of kind of like what's going on. I'm not putting it too much in the mountains here because they're going to get a decent amount of precipitation from maybe not on the side, but they are going to be quite tall. So we'll see how that goes. But you know, we could get some mountains in here being inside the hot spot. It's just that you know, I'll probably spread the isotherms to include it in there anyway.
Flatten that curve.
So we will.
Oh gosh.
So arid hotspot. Yeah, the size of the hotspot is determined by the amount of dry land between roughly 20 degrees and 33 degrees latitude when you're working with an Earth-like planet with, you know, between like what 20 and 25 degrees of obliquity. These can extend poleward by a few degrees into arid, as well as a few degrees into arids into the tropics. So, you know, if you have a really big desert like the Sahara, for example, your hotspot could go from like, I don't know, 20 degrees north to like 33 degrees, or no, what is it? Like 16 degrees north to like 34 degrees north. Yeah, so like you have a pretty large range that you can kind of put it in. But a landmass has to have at least 200 kilometers of dry land at the shortest distance. And I guess for the sake of it, is it more than 200?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow, look at that. 2,000 kilometers. That's pretty big. And then, of course, top to bottom is
But
also...
how many seas?
How many seas? Now, land bordering warm water currents at mid-latitude... Oh, yeah, so now we're moving to the next one. Land on warm currents and warm seas in the mid-latitudes have coastal hotspots all year. They can extend up to 700 kilometers inland over low elevation in the direction of seasonal prevailing winds. However, steep mountains and high elevations stop the warm current hotspots over land. And this is, you know, as the air rises, you know, kind of removes those benefits. So we have warm here, right? We have it there, and then we also have it in here. But we are looking specifically in the mid latitudes. So that's going to be outside of our tropics. However, our tropics are... Yours is like what, 23? Is your obliquity the same as Earth's obliquity?
I would say so.
Yes, it's the same as Earth.
Yep. Nothing too crazy over here.
All right, so let's
yeah,
find...
having it be as similar to Earth as possible right now would be very lovely. I don't want to
There we
go
go.
all like
We
65.
didn't just reinvent the wheel. We didn't
No.
reinvent the sphere
No.
either.
No.
All right, so we are going to be going along here.
Ooh.
Coastline.
Going
That's
along
probably
this
important to drive.
coastline. Oh, I have to remember all the... Okay, measure. That's not measure. That's point. Points are M. Measure is S. And I want to get rid of these because I want to... All right, so this can extend in. But then we have mountains, which is very convenient.
Many mountains.
Yeah.
We have some lowland in here, but that drops below 23. So let's just go back here. We're going to create another feature.
The work
They're
has a
all
very
unclassified.
long staff.
G.
Go.
Great, great. And then we are going to do another one over here. And I thought it was...
Hi, Nemo.
Hello, hello. Is this a more or less India-friendly time to stream at?
All right, so it's about, yeah, it's about 66 would be the other one. So let's start here, and then we can extend it in. And for the sake of it, let's look at the winter as well. Yeah, that's going to be pretty restrained on here.
Ooh. Oh, she's going all the way around.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's all warm
Ooh.
around here.
That makes sense. But whoa.
Hmm.
And then you got your
and
mountains
cozy.
here, so it's going to be warm. And then how high are we getting? Oh, we're almost there.
Wow.
All right. Whoop. No, I'm just going to make it go along the coast. All these little islands will largely, they will probably be oceanic or they're probably going to be hyperoceanic anyway, so it doesn't particularly...
Mm-hmm.
They'll just be the same temperature as the water, most likely.
If this world had a chili, this is what it would look like.
There we go. Create a new feature. Boop. Boop.
This is like me and my body clock that, for whatever reason, seems to be running Eastern time at the moment.
Oh, we've got Marva. We've got Levenel. We've got Geosky. We've got Nemo. So many folks. Yeah. What did math ever do to you?
Yeah. Math is just a consistent logical system that can be applied in many consistencies.
I think I was just traumatized by grammar school, where I was with people who were even better at math than I was. And I wasn't bad at math. I got like an A star and an A.
That's great.
But I felt bad because I wasn't as good as the people who were really good.
So, land bordering cool water currents or cool water seas at mid-latitudes have coastal cold spots. These cold spots can extend 700 kilometers inland over low elevations or in direction of seasonal prevailing winds. So that will be largely over here and down here.
Nice.
And this, we'll actually have it going in, but I believe this will only end up impacting maybe during during one time of the year it'll impact, I think. So we have
Ooh.
what is going on? Where's that point? Okay, no. Bad point. Yeah, we don't need that. Clear geometry. Thank you. We will just be, how high are we? 60 degrees. All right. So then I want to get my measuring tool out. How far is that? 700. All right. So there we go, more or less. Boop.
Oh.
There we go.
We've lost a Miles.
No, Miles.
I tried to log in and then it wanted me to go on a full other window. So that was my bad.
This is going to be included in the spot.
We
create feature, coastal cold spot.
Anthropology sounds like it would actually just be anthropology of men. Which is, to be honest, a lot of anthropology.
Yes. That is very much a lot of anthropology.
I've been reading up on the history of African scholarship of gender.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's been an interesting ride.
Well, when the men went there, they were like, there is no gender.
Well, I mean, this book.
Oh, Jesus. My God.
I'm gonna do my best with the tones. Oye ronque, oye umi. Like, she's suggesting, like, I think her argument is not great because it's mostly linguistically based, but she says that, like, gender isn't actually that important in Yoruba culture before colonization.
Yeah. Okay.
Which, I mean, the linguistic grounds are not convincing. I think, like, the less strong argument is seniority was more important than gender in a lot of ways.
Yes, seniority was certainly important. I would agree with that. How far are we going to go south? That's fine. There we go. But yeah, a lot of their systems, a lot of systems in sub-Saharan Africa do incorporate seniority and, like, age grades and classes and stuff like that, moving through different institutions for governance and things. These have largely been preserved for men, though they, these systems probably also existed for women as well. Create. There we go. Now we got some cold spots.
Ooh.
Carving everything up along the coast here. That's good. Awesome. And always make sure to save all of your features.
So many people in STEM in chat today. My goodness.
I've seen a few people jokingly refer to, I'm trying to remember exactly how they did it. What was it? Like, philosophy, history, English, geography, and I can't remember what they used. It might have been music, to be phlegm.
Oh my God, yes.
So it would be phlegm versus stem. Sorry.
I love it so much.
So we are going to have a continental cold spot.
Ooh,
and it's going to be around the center of our continental zone here. I'm probably going to put that in its own feature collection. So here, I don't know. Yeah, it's probably going to sit in here somewhere. And it created some geometry. I didn't want it to clear geometry.
My upstairs neighbor is starting to become very easily perceived by my ear. They're starting to do some shuffling, and there were some fun times last night, apparently. So
does that mean what I think it means?
More so just like stomping and like kind of
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
no, not that sort
Not
of thing,
that.
but like they're definitely they're moving something around right now. So I'm like, this is very interesting.
All right, so we're gonna have our continental cold spot. It's just gonna be there. We can move it around later. I don't know. I'm more willing to put it further west and beside those mountains there, just based on how the topography looks in the landscape. I mean, it may be more difficult to see with all of this stuff on top.
Oh gosh.
There we go. But I think having it in here could work. I mean, there's an argument for it to be over here as well on this ridge.
To kind of have it be hugged by the mountains a little bit.
Having it closer to the mountains definitely makes more sense. But like, you know, maybe if it's sitting in there. But that is definitely what I mean, this is also slightly off center for some reason, but yeah, if we put it, I mean, that's a little too far south. So yeah, I guess just putting it in here, but I would want it to be sort of maybe, I mean, there's some elevation in here. Maybe just sitting in this basin, right there would probably be for the best. So let's see where I put it. Yeah, I'm gonna put it further south.
Oh, that's so simple.
I agree with past me in where I put the high pressure thingy. The anticyclone. There we go.
Nice.
And then we can extend the continental zone out a little bit because it does get quite close as you go further north. So yeah, but I mean, you'd want to put it in here, and the thing is, this kind of like pushes it inward, so it's kind of an odd place for it. So I'd want to move it a little further north, but you know, we'll figure it out as we move forward. But I think that is better than putting it up there. I mean, it may shift over here a little bit, but we will certainly see. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to do. It's always good to agree with your past self. Yes. All right, so now we are going to do spots at sea, and I'm going to make a new layer for that, or a new feature collection, quote unquote. So we're going to have some year-round ones. We're going to mark polar cold water currents blocked off from circulation from tropical gyres as polar water cold spots. This zone can extend up to 1,000 kilometers at the center of the ocean.
What is a gyre?
A gyre. Oh, great. So a gyre is the sort of circulation of one of these. So like, you know, if we completed this here where it's going up and around and comes down, that is a gyre.
Okay.
How do
So-
you spell it?
Gyre.
So it would come.
See,
It comes
if I
from
saw
gyre
that-
still?
Here's a gyre. This is a gyre. Woo.
It must come from like.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. I don't remember seeing the word before, but it having understood the etymology, it makes more sense.
Completely so.
Yeah.
Someone thinks gyre? No.
That's what Wikipedia says in general American
And
in
Wiktionary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had with Wiktionary. Sorry.
Really?
With like gyroscope.
Yeah.
Gyroscope. Ugh.
Gyro.
I disagree. This is my channel. This is what we're doing.
Now the question is, do you say GIF or GIF?
I say GIF from gift.
Hmm.
And I guess also there are other words like, I guess up here we definitely say gyro as well. And in like, I went to Michigan one time and I was hanging out with some people who said gyro, and I was like, get out.
Gyro is sometimes how people would say it down there, easily so.
Everyone is wrong about that one for the record. It's absolutely GIF. No, it's not.
No,
it can
it's
be
not.
GIF.
No.
It is a made-up word.
It's an acronym of all things.
I'm
The GIF.
yeah, but I don't know. I think, you know, the way that people decide how to pronounce things is very much fine. So we have
Is this supposed to rhyme? And I hate to call Kate out, but I'm like, I wouldn't pronounce Gaia or Jaya to rhyme with falconer.
I
Although,
think it's supposed to.
okay,
the falcon cannot
it
hear
looked
the
like
falconer.
it should rhyme, and then it didn't, and then I was sad.
Gyre, falconer.
It feels
mean,
like
Falconer.
like a couplet
If you-
in another stanza to like.
If
have
you made it
rhyme.
hyperrotic, grr, the falconer.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
Future English establishing.
Jaya, falconer. I don't know. That doesn't really work.
No.
All right. What are we doing now?
Polar
this
something.
zone can extend up to 1,000 kilometers into the center of the ocean. Great. Polar cold water currents blocked off from circulation from the tropics. So that would be up here, essentially. Yeah. So because this is not blocked off from tropical water, because tropical water is coming up here.
You knew it.
This is where our tropical water is, but
Yes.
we only really care about that, essentially.
That little cold dude?
This little cold
Got
dude. But if we keep reading, winter only apply, excuse me.
It was supposed to rhyme. It was supposed to rhyme.
Apply polar water cold spots to polar ice packs, circumpolar currents, and to any small islands surrounded by the cold spot. Mark cool currents as cool current cold spots that travel equatorward from the mid-latitudes until they reach the equator and then extend. All right, so I'm just going to go through and apply it in all the places I need to, because I need to apply it over here. I need to apply it here, and I believe... Yeah, need to apply it in there. I need to apply them all over the place. So I'll just apply them, and then later it'll tell me when to execute them. Boop. All right, and then this is the water, so we can do this.
Okay, there was a dude because there's Yeats and then there's Keats, and they're two different people, which makes sense, but also that is kind of ironic.
And then
So
in
on the same
here,
topic
there's
of
also going to be
Wiktionary,
another circulation. Oh, great. All right, so let's do that.
Wiktion is saying to pronounce it Yates.
Anybody can edit Wiktionary. I don't trust them.
Mm.
And unless they agree with me, in which case that's fine.
There was a few Langtime Studio streams where David was editing Wiktionary to fit dialect.
Yes, absolutely. Well, this is also the thing too. I would gladly take a Wikipedia, Wiktionary, whatever, like a wiki-based article over some sort of like AI slop answer any day.
Yeah, at least someone went through the effort of putting it up there. And then, of course, Wikipedia editors are notorious. So,
yes, exactly.
I need to create a new feature collection. Great.
I haven't
All
watched it in a while, but there's these two Swedish dudes who like run like a little like Wikipedia like channel, and they like do like little like live editing such, and it seems very sweet and very pure.
Great. And then we can go down here, and then we can edit this. And then I need to find where the thingy is. Here we go. Nice. All right, so now I need to expand that. I'm going to fill the polygon. I'm going to decrease. And I'm going to hit draw style and single color. Do they have like a teal? Otherwise, I'm going to make it green. I don't want to make it green. I guess it's green. Oh, I can change the color.
Ooh, nice.
I can add a color. Okay, let's add a color. Add. Unnamed. Teal. Choose. Boop. Okay.
Love. Look at that.
Excellent.
Excellent. There we go. And then I'll make the ones over the. Then I'll make the warm ones over the water orange. I don't know. Like, and I also, I've been. I was going to mention this before, but I've before we actually started the call. But I've been listening to people, and I've been hearing them in Canada slowly change. People are starting to front the first vowel more. So a lot of the people around me aren't saying Canada; they're starting to say Canada, which I'm like, I feel like I'm losing it. But
not
that's
Canada.
Canada.
I think I need
Canada.
All right. What was I? I think I was just doing. I think it was just the winter. Winter only.
Yes.
Oh no, that's the ice pack. Because we do have a bit of a difference here in the summer and the winter with the cold spots here. So, because if I change these two, we do have some difference in the cold spot. I mean, I don't think it's actually that significant. No, I think it was just me doing it, not referencing myself. So I'm going to just use the summer one for drawing in the cold spot here.
And Kate, if that is a Bleach reference, you have to give us a content warning first, unfortunately.
A content warning for Bleach. That is one of the few shonen anime that I've actually watched to any degree. I was a younger person.
Yeah.
I had a Crunchyroll subscription, free subscription.
Back in the day.
And I watched it, and then I was like, all right, well, now I'm... Well, yeah, and I think they went to the spirit world, and they were, spiriting it up. And then there were a lot of swords. There were so many swords, and he was trying to find the right sword. Yeah, it's Akira. Tetsuo. Was it Canada? Yeah, there we go. Create feature.
Looks
cool
like
current.
it's Canada. But obviously, I don't know what they used in the dub, because sometimes these vowels aren't going to be what the Japanese ones are.
No.
We're going to have... And then, of course, this is just going to be like polar water all in here. So let's just do this. Oh, this just jumps north. I see. That's going to be cold. Okay, and then that can go back up here, or not. Where should it go to? Here. And then we can just sort of...
Circle it around.
All right, create feature. Save all changes. Don't let the little or red, whatchamacallit thing there get mad at you. Little red thing in the corner. All right, so that's looking pretty good. We're getting through all that. And we're almost done our hotspots. So before we do the coastal hotspots, we can... Oh, no. Where is my... Do I have...
I thought it was a cat at first.
Somebody vamp real quick. No, no cats. No cats. There we go. I was just looking for something in order to continue with our daily stream here. So we're going to remove that. We're going to stop the stream. You had to go for a bit, but now you're back. You're back for the best part of the stream.
Oh my gosh. I have a feeling I know what it's going to be.
I was going to start, and then I remembered that I had to put it up, actually. You came just in time for venerating the sun. So, as I mentioned before, you know, we all venerate the great green dragon, whose body is the ground on which we live, and whose golden tail is the sun that nourishes us. Today, we have been, at least I have been, patagiumed by the wings of the great dragon. Yes. It is a bit of a cloudy day today, a bit of rain. You know, the great green dragon is spitting on us, not in a toxogenous way.
That's right.
Luckily. See, you know, I don't care about how someone pronounces gyre or gyre. But toxungen was something I did need to look up. You know, I think we have our own periocalisms and we pick our battles. So I'm going to get some more coffee because I'm out. Maybe Jake and Miles will grab. Well, maybe Jake will grab tea. I don't know what Miles will grab.
I'm drinking sour cherry juice.
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 Yeah,
I just did a Sprite during this, but go ahead, Jake. I was interrupted you.
It's in one of the Iranian ones I can get at the local shop. It's very good. But it is good with some diluting, which does mean I could call it diluting juice, even though that's not what diluting juice is, of course. Do you two know what diluting juice is?
Sounds like homeopathy to me.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, actually.
Do you know what squash is?
Yes, I know it's
Yeah.
squash the sport or squash the fruits.
The fruit, like a cordial. The
Yeah.
cordial's like fancy, whereas squash is normal.
Okay.
Oh, I've not heard this term.
Yeah.
I know
So
it's shrub, but that's like a different thing.
diluting juice is the Scottish word for what we call squash.
I think I like diluting juice better.
Mm-hmm.
It's a highly concentrated drink you dilute to drink. Excellent.
Okay,
Okay. That makes
that
so
makes
there
sense.
are the a third sense of squash. Yeah.
Huh? So many squashes.
The third knan and the third squash.
All right. So well, we'll be back in about 5 minutes and then we'll finish out our hotspots and decide how warm we would like the Boubaverse to be.
Yay. Excited.
All right.
Cool.
Oh.
Oh God. Okay.
Boom. And I am back. I don't think they're back yet. They'll let me know. Oh, Jake's back. Oh, Miles just showed up.
Oh, great time.
Very convenient. Everyone's showing up at the same time.
Huh.
All right, let me take this down. Let us get back to G plates. And what do I need to do? G plates. All right. Oh, and something funny. Oh, now it's far away. One sec. In my Oxford Dictionary of English, for gyre, it says Jaya and Gaia are appropriate pronunciations.
Gaia!
Which I thought was funny because under where it says gyro, it just has gyro. So, but I mean, this is also like a British English dictionary. But I did think it was funny.
I had only ever heard of like Euro.
Let's see if we can get this in.
In like a Greek American context. I know they do have them in the UK. In Greece, but like I think they'd often just be called Greek donaire, however shameful it makes them feel.
But yeah, I thought that was interesting considering Wiktionary does not have that. But I also have a Canadian dictionary I could check later. But yeah.
I'm learning so much about language right now because I was like a little rabbit hole, and because you put down like kvass is like come from squash, which kind of made me think, oh, is kvass like the Russian drink? Is that also from the same root? It is not, but it in fact is that root, and the word for cheese come from the same European root. That thing is very cool.
When is my dictionary from? Is a good question. With the Bible thin pages.
Come on, Bible thin pages.
That sounds like a drag name.
I'm gonna say it's Bible thin pages.
2006. There we go. 2006 was the last time I got a big OED.
Yeah, come on, big 2-0.
But yes, I have a bunch of books with Bible thin pages. I have like a collected works of Shakespeare where it's all in there. It's a big thick book and has very thin pages.
I'd be so
I don't know if that's like a commonly used expression, but it's definitely something I've taken to use.
I have not heard it before this moment, so
well, if any drag queens want it, that's.
My partner's also coming up with their drag name again right now, and I'm very excited to kind of like help them with it. And it's just kind of like I mean, like we always have had like a list of like drag names always going. The one that like is in my mind right now is Magazine.
Magazine. Very I guess you could do a lot of with that with like Vogue and like no, I think that's fun. I think that's
yes. Fun. And it's all like zines being kind of like the 2000s 90s like punk revolutionary sort of like pamphlets too.
2000s. I still make zines.
Hell
and have
yes,
tons
you
of zines. Do. And then the info shop I help as a hobby. I run a bookstore with some friends. We have a whole zine rack. We have tons of zines, and people buy I mean, they're like $2 to pay for like the paper and the printer and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But it's like, you know, we go through over 1,000 zines a year. So
Oh, I love
there's still a thriving zine culture
Yes, buy zines,
in the
people.
Pacific Northwest. And then also at the geography conference I was at in the States in Detroit, there was like a for the AAG, there was like a zines working group, and they
I
were
believe
making
that.
zines, and I collected a bunch of those to bring. There's one that I haven't read yet, but I was interested in, which is like rats as infrastructure. And I was like, well, this is interesting because I'm an infrastructure guy and I'm also interested in like post-humanist stuff. So I want to see how that works. And then there was also the Canadian Association of Geographers I believe they have a zine group as well. There are people who are handing out zines and stuff. So zines are very thriving, especially in geography.
Yes. We just went to a little exhibition about kind of like queer zines in Montreal and kind of like all that sort of culture here.
Yes, no. That's lunch or we stream is ending. No, stream's not ending.
Nope.
We just had a 5-minute break and then we were I don't know, having another was it cold open? I don't know.
Yeah.
We were just reconvening on some things.
Work of banter.
And then I forgot to add the G plays to the stage again. Yeah.
Arrows.
And I think I have a Webster's dictionary as well. Something I collect actually. If we're going back to my book collection. One sec. Is I really like was it like modern English usage guides, and I have a bunch of Fowler's modern English usage, going back a little far. Let me grab some.
I have quite a few in shot. I have where my finger is the Diccionario Panhispánico de Dudas.
Oh.
And above that is Polish. Beneath
I also have a proper thesaurus too. Where is he?
Ooh.
So we've got so this is like a 1959 modern English usage, and it has stuff in here like how to it talks about pronunciation, but it also talks about when you would want to use certain words or not. When to stress certain words, that sort of thing. It'll have, when to use there and there, when to use that or which, and these kinds of things. Then I've got this one, which still actually has the slip on it. Which is a second edition from 65.
Oh, good year.
And I've got a couple others over the years, but then this is a more recent one that I got. And I think I got this one in 2012, 2013, something like that. Yeah, so this was I got in 2009. But I've got a handful of those. And it wasn't really on purpose either. I got one at a used bookstore, and then I got one that was more recent, and then people just started getting me these old books. That's also how you accumulate llamas.
Oh,
as
for
well.
sure. The discounted used bookstore is a trap for me.
Yeah. But I also have like a Rogers thesaurus, like a proper thesaurus that organizes everything by theme and things. And I've got a Gardner's modern English usage as well, in addition to Fowler's and stuff like that. I also have a Canadian version. So it's, before, when you wanted to be a writer, or when you wanted to like write a thesis or something like that, and you needed to know all these things, you know, even I don't know, like 15 years ago or whatever, when I was doing my undergrad and my first master's and stuff, like you needed books. Like the internet resources were not there in the same way.
No.
Yeah. And I don't know, based on how things have been going with like search engines and stuff like that, like if you try to search things now in, I don't know, I mean, I've been trying Brave as a search engine. It's been working okay, but when I look now in like, I don't know, Google or DuckDuckGo, which I used to like, but now like the first like just pages of
Yeah.
DuckDuckGo will just be AI slop.
That's true.
And I'm like, why would I waste the time to search it when I could just pull out my dictionary and check? It has become more efficient to just, you know, go to the library, which for me is like, I would consider this a library.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, even with AI turned off, it's
I
awful.
agree, Jonathan.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah,
It's
so
not to work on me.
Yeah, so it's just much easier for me now to just like, you know, walk in here, pull it off, flip to the page and check for those sorts of things. So I've been using search engines less and less, at least public ones. I mean, I still have the university search for finding like articles and, you know, books and those sorts of things. And now at least, I think now my search for my main computer just does like Wikipedia. Because that's usually, I'm just like...
That's what like link I will usually click. Just to kind
and
of
I do have
that overview.
On my phone, I've got like a Wikipedia, Wiktionary, like, you know, that kind of thing. And I'll just kind of flip to those. Though Wiktionary doesn't have Gyre, only Gyre. Wow. I'd be interested to
Petition.
I mean, you have a source now.
I do.
Oh, wait, you can just edit. Yeah, I'm sorry. I misunderstood that. Yeah, you can just edit Wiktionary all on his little own.
I could go in there and edit it. Editing Wikipedia has always been very strange because like the culture of Wikipedia and then the kinds of evidence they have and like all of their little terms of art and stuff they use are very different from people who either have like journalistic backgrounds or who have academic backgrounds. There have been times when I've looked at a Wikipedia article and I've been like, well, that's wrong. You could just look at the source, like the primary source of like what the person said. And they're like, no, we don't use primary sources. And I'm like, well, well, so much for most of the methodologies that people use. And then if there's a secondary source that says a thing, you can be like, well, they're wrong. And then there's this anyway. Yeah, don't need to. Wikipedia is very useful. It's just its own thing, and they have their own standards. And you know, it's so now we're doing our hotspots in the water. We're going to have a tropical ocean hotspot. And these are in large oceans off east coast of continents. The equatorial winds kind of blow all the warm water and it pools. Great seeing you, Juelos. There we go. All right. All the water is going to be pushed and move over and it's going to pool. Smaller oceans near the equators, you know, that kind of stop the water from moving with like a lot of circulation are going to see larger pools of water, essentially, like warm water pooling in them. Like we can especially see this in Oceania, right? You know, like there isn't that much, there isn't like a proper gyre there. So you do have like, you know, warm water kind of pooling in that area. Of course, you can have, you know, the kind of like La Nina, El Nino circulation, which is what happens when like a lot of water starts pooling on that side, that it eventually, you know, pushes it and kind of reverses the circulation, right? So you have this kind of east-west oscillation that can occur. But we are looking at averages and not you know, these occasional reversals. So when we are in here, did I make any new geometry accidentally? No, I did not.
Yay!
Yay. Do I tell myself where I should put these? Tropical ocean hotspots over equatorial currents, 2,000 kilometers southwest of the nearest cool current. Well, that's fun because we don't know where the other cool current's going to be. That's not blocked by a warm equatorial current continuing west. The maximum extent of tropical ocean hotspot poleward in the southern hemisphere, in the summer hemisphere, will be between 10 to 30 degrees latitude. The maximum extent of the tropical ocean hotspot poleward in the winter hemisphere will be 10 to 20 degrees. All right, so this is summer. Nope, this is winter. Cool. All right. So we have our equatorial currents here. And this is going to probably move through here. So this is cool.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll see some circulation in here, but the main gyre is over here going along there. So I did move some cool in here, but I may override that and make it tropical. We'll see when we start doing isotherms how we want it to kind of work out.
Mm-hmm.
Well said. What was well said? Lost into the vacuum of the streams past. So we are going to move it about 10 degrees north in the winter. Boom. Yeah, we're going to get it closer to here first. I'll just leave this for myself in here as a note. We'll see how we want it to work.
Exciting.
But yeah, we'll want this to be sort of kept away. Don't really care what's going on further south. This is sort of the tropical thermal equator here. But, okay, let's do this. So it's actually going to be pooling on this side. This is where the pooling is going to happen.
Ooh.
Ooh. We're going to get some varicose veins.
All right, so we're just going to bring it over here. And this will just be for us. Oh, this is tropical. All right, and we are going to let's say this one's winter. And we're working in one hemisphere, so we know when winter is.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to create and save a new feature collection. Great. And of course, then we need to take our time to add in our proper color. And fill our polygons. And I said I wanted to make this orange, so we're going to add a new one. And we're going to crash G-plates, apparently.
Oh, no.
It's okay, I saved it.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
See, that's why it's important. I'm just going to reopen the session. Well, that's exciting. All right, so let's bring this back so we can see what's going on here. So, All right, so this may seem like a problem. Oh, yeah. I remembered myself that I did not do this. There we go. So I'm going to now manage my feature collections. I'm going to find my Bouba files. I don't know why it did not open these things. Close. All right. There we go. It did not remember the colors that we were using.
Oh, yeah.
Which isn't ideal. All right, so we'll just add our polygons real quick. If your G plates crashes, then you can always just add things back because you'll still have the feature collections, even if it doesn't remember, which is quite useful.
That's useful.
Because there have been times when this has happened on projects that I've been working on for quite some period, like doing the tectonics or whatever, and it's decided to crash the project and not remember the things that have been happening. All right, it's gonna make me add teal again. Boop. And then we can go to here. Fill polygon, set draw style, single color, add, don't crash. Okay. Oh, all right. Does not want to add orange. That is the problem.
How bizarre.
So we'll just use yellow or something.
That's great. Well,
oh, that's funny.
Leave it to the unrammable color to screw us up.
They knew that we had all of our Dutch viewers, and they said, no nationalism today. No orange for you. William, go away.
That was fun.
That was so funny. Oh my god.
And it didn't. I did save the project, but it didn't want to keep those feature collections, I guess, in the project. All right. Well, I'm not going to add orange. Okay, so we are going to. I did open the recent. Oh, whatever. We are going to open our feature collection here. I mean, when I get a new computer, then I will update G-plates and probably won't have these issues.
There's like such a good feeling about when one gets like that new computer and just things start like going at the speed at which you expect it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. The amount of just like waiting just to like even like load this was like 10 minutes. Like my computer would take forever just to do anything productive. Now it's like boop, 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 done. Oh, I love it.
All right, so let's just turn off some of these so that we can... Okay, I do want the polygons to be filled. I just won't make them orange. Or maybe it just doesn't like me making new...
I'm like 5 years old. 5 or 6 years old. Maybe 7.
Arbitrary colors. Oh. Oh. I could make it magenta.
Ooh.
There we go. That's nice.
The irony.
How old is my computer? 2020.
Yeah, okay.
It's doing okay. It's just that based on the hardware it has, I can't update it to more recent operating systems, and newer G plates, newer versions of G plates would require me to update in order to use it. So, you know, that's fine. And I've gotten used to this old G plates anyway. So, save project. Let's save this one as, I don't know, just in case. All right, so now we have our this hotspot is an unclassified feature, which is fine, but that is winter. Yeah, so that is the winter one. We need to make a summer one. So make sure that my summer hemisphere is in view, and it is. And we are going to kind of follow this sort of equatorial current, and we're going to go up to 30 degrees, which I believe is here. Yes. Yep. And it's also going to go in here. Maybe. I mean, during the summer, yeah, we'll say it'll go in here too. And then in the winter hemisphere, where's 10 degrees? There.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can do that. Create feature. And then we'll sculpt the isotherms to create the shape that we want. Can you see what I'm typing? No, you cannot.
No.
Because it uses so many different windows. All right. Okay, and then we can always save our feature collections. There we go. All right, so now we have that done. Yeah, when I got this computer, I specifically wanted something where I was like, well, I'm just going to be using it to like type and I don't know, watch videos sometimes. I didn't plan on making videos and doing all these kinds of things. The one that I'm actually using to run SteamYard and all that kind of stuff is actually 10 years old. But it has, you know, better graphics card, it has better processor, it has a lot more space in it, even though I think the RAM is actually the same, which makes it function a lot better. But even then, it still really struggles to do things I needed to do, like encode my videos. So there we have the tropical ocean hotspots, and extend tropical hotspots. inland up to 300 kilometers to cover any islands, isthmuses, and peninsulas surrounded by the hotspot. If a body of water is surrounded by an arid hotspot, then the arid hotspot will spread over it. Mark currents as warm hotspots that travel poleward from the mid-latitudes until they reach the polar circle or deflect off land. Okay, cool. So that is the one we're going to do. That is the relevant one. This is the mid-latitudes here. So it's going to start. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're going to kind of extend it further. So we are going to kind of extend it up here. And this is the summer. Yeah, okay. And we can... And then that just kind of gets carried across. Okay, so that's a mid-latitude warm current hotspot. It should be also magenta. Yes, wonderful. This area is going to be full of that, essentially. Mm-hmm. This will be very pleasant. And then we are also going to take it up here, like we did with the other one. Goes to the polar circle. It's going to extend along here. It's going to then come back down. Wonderful. Nice. And I think that is all of our spots.
Very fun.
Wonderful. Great. So that is the only thing we need G-plates for. I'm going to save our feature collections because that's the important bit. I'm also going to save the project. And if I have some time, then I can go back and make sure that they're all applied before exporting it. All right, so that don't need that no more. Now we are going to look at spreadsheets. So let me get that up.
Spreadsheets.
Spreadsheets. Yay! Oh, no. And add to stage. Great.
Yay.
Ooh. You also did not plan to make videos when you got this computer, but your videos are relatively simple, so I never have issues. Yeah, my first video did not take very long to encode. My first two did not take very long. So the first spec atlas chapter and the footnotes didn't take too long. The first spec Evo one took like 8 hours to encode. And this one is taking longer to encode because as I figure out how to do art and as I figure out like how to actually use Premiere and do transitions and do like the panning and stuff like that. But that is also very intense for processing.
Yep.
And I would ideally want to have something with like 336 gigabytes of RAM or 48. And right now I have 16. So, or is it 32? I don't remember exactly what the distinction they have is for the RAM. But yeah, so it's so I'm definitely like sort of on the low end, and at this point I'm sort of like cutting up the video into several sequences and then doing each sequence in I'll do like 10 minutes, get that through, then do another 10 minutes, then do another 10 minutes. And this one's like 40 minutes long. The next video will not be 40 minutes. The next one will probably be closer to like 25 minutes or something like that. That's much more reasonable based on my workflow and things. And then I stitched them all together into one video. And that doesn't take too long because everything's already done. A Vosnot showcase. I love showcases. Spreadsheets.
Do you need
Very much not what you do. Yeah. No, I can imagine why people would not do what I'm doing. All right.
Do you need all the columns, or can we zoom in a bit so it's a bit bigger?
I mean, we can zoom in a bit so it's bigger.
Yay!
I think. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, no, maybe.
That's fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this is from Dove. So I'm going to make a new sheet. And this can be for the Boubaverse. All right, so Dove was about 12 degrees or so when I started it, which means it's, you know, quite cool.
Mm-hmm.
We would want to figure out what the temperature for the Boubaverse is going to be, like the sort of average global temperature. The pre-industrial average was between like 13 and 14 degrees Celsius. So that's like prior to, like, you know, the Industrial Revolution, and we started putting out a whole bunch more CO2 and stuff like that. Oh, yeah. No. That we don't need to worry about that.
I was curious about that.
Yeah, I was just extending it just for fun, because you do sometimes have to make more isotherms and then wrap and do things depending on how things turn out.
But
so
13, 14 degrees pre-industrial revolution.
Yeah. So let me go back to here. So the temperature at 40 degrees north-south will be the average temperature for an Earth-like planet. Then we're going to shift 0.7 degrees Celsius per latitude from the average to the pole, and then we're going to shift 0.5 degrees Celsius per latitude to the tropic. You know, on an Earth with a 15 degrees Celsius average, this would give us 23.5 degrees at the tropics, 0 at 62 degrees, and negative 20 at the pole. And we're kind of sitting at 15 degrees right now, IRL, right? And I shifted mine after the fact so that I could have, like, you know, I essentially was like, okay, well, 46 is going to be 6 degrees, you know, 54 is going to be 0, you know, 63 is going to be 6. Like, I essentially shifted it so I could get the kind of degrees that I wanted. What we're going to do is A5. What are we doing here? Yes. Okay. So we are going to get rid of these. We're going to do that at 40. That can stay there just because. So we can choose between 13 and 14. You can choose 13.5, really whatever you'd like. The other thing that we can do is, if you wanted to do something like, you know, have your equivalent of like the African humid period, you can have one hemisphere receive more insolation in the summer, and you can just increase the temperature, the average temperature for that hemisphere in the summer. That is one thing that we can do. That times 6. Oh, no. Plus 6 times 0.07. Nope, just 0.7. There we go. All right. So this is more or less what we're going to be doing. And your tropic is, 23.5. So we are going to say that so we can. And I'm going to be choosing these degrees of latitude because I'm going to be moving it around a bit to figure out which ones are going to give us like rounder numbers that we're interested in, because we're going to be looking at, differences in like, we're going to be working with isotherms that are about 6 degrees between each other. So I'm putting the 40 degree in here, but we're probably going to want to use the 12 degree isotherm as like one of our lines.
Okay.
I think I've seen some people do it where they don't shift, so they have like weird numbered isotherms, and that just kind of makes it more difficult during the climate step. So we can just do that plus 6, that'd be 52. Boop. No, this is supposed to be minus, not plus. Boop.
Yeah, yeah. That makes
and then that would be 58. And 64. There we go.
Okay.
Kind of what we would expect.
Well, that's a nice, neat little 8 there.
Yes. Then we'll probably keep the 76. The 76 will be good for us. And yes, we're going to extend it off just in case we need one. Okay, so yeah, we got a nice round 8 there. And then moving from the 40 inwards, we're going to add some rows above. So let's try 34, and then 28, and then 22. Well, we need to end it at like what, 23.5 or something like that. So we'll end it at 24. We'll make sure that we do the equation properly. So that plus 6 times 0.5. There we go.
Ooh. Ah, look at that.
All right, so that way we're going to, now we just have to consider which isotherms we want to hit. So if we did that minus that is not 6. Whatever. All right, so at 24 degrees, it would be 22. If we change this, let's see what we get. I mean, yeah, then 23.5 would be kind of where your tropic is. So at 23.5, you would have a 22 degree isotherm, which could be useful. We may want to get rid of some of those isotherms after the fact. I mean, ideally, you'd have like 18, 24, right? But if we do that, then you'll lose some of the distinctions. So I think what Edgar and I talked about was making the tropics kind of have 3 degree isotherm shifts.
Okay.
So like, so you'd want 21 and then 24 and then 27 and whatnot. That can cause you to have more isotherms in your near the equator and in the desert. So we can see how that turns out. But we definitely want like 12 degrees is a useful one to have.
Okay.
Let's just text block. Okay, so we want a 12 degree isotherm. And that one's useful to have both for when you're doing mesothermal, cool summer climates, so like CFC and stuff like that. Having the 12 degrees is useful. It's also close to 10 degrees, which is very helpful. Having the 18 is useful because that will help distinguish where the tropics are. Because for the Köppen system, if either of the month a year, if either the our January or our July isotherms kind of any region the drops below 18 degrees Celsius, no longer tropical.
Okay.
So that one is useful. Having the 24 is useful because then in the middle of that is the distinction, or close to the 24, kind of in the middle, is the distinction between the hot summer and the warm summer for the meso and microthermal. So it's the difference between like a CFA and a CFB is the 22 degree for the summer. And then 6 degrees Celsius. 0 obviously is very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like these are the main ones that are important. So if we just need to get the isotherms that have those. So 13 degrees Celsius is a little cool. 14 is on the warmer side.
Okay.
But it kind of depends on what you'd like for, like, yeah.
Yes.
What you are interested in. I mean, it's a very subtle shift. So, if it's 14 degrees, you're pushing your temperate climates a little further north. You're also, quite possibly expanding your deserts a little bit. If you'd want something a bit more humid, then you could, have it in the 13 or the 13.5.
Yeah.
But that also means that your continental, your like microthermal climates, your D climates would come a little further south. That's
where I'm leaning more towards a cooler planet.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shoot. Not that cool. There we go. So if we do the 13.5, I think we could get... All right. What if we do... So 58 would be close to the 0, but probably would be, 59 or 60? Just make a note here. So 59, 12 degrees, probably be close to 42.
And 6 is maybe like 49, 50.
Probably 51.
51.
I keep typing in degrees Celsius because I already see a C.
That I'm like, because there were so many degrees being thrown around. Like, okay, 20.
Yeah.
I get
it. 18 is, about 27 26.5, I believe.
Oh my god, bro! There's a little flash of the sun coming in. I keep thinking it's like my phone going off, but I know it's not. I'm not that popular.
And then
you're popular with me, Miles.
Wait a minute.
Oh, thank you, Jay.
No. Yeah, and then 23 degrees would be, and then we may just want a 21 degree isotherm as it to vibe it in, I guess, like, because we're going to be increasing things by 3 degrees in the tropics, and that will then push the 22 above 24. So we may be able to get rid of the 21 degree isotherm and then just have it at 24 once we make our changes. Well, wait a minute. Yeah, so let's just try something here. Equals that plus 3. So that would be 25. No, that doesn't make sense. 6. Ah, I see what I did. There we go. Because that needs to be this plus the 6, that plus the 6, that plus the 6, that plus 4. Yes. So 25 would be what we were looking for. I just plugged in the equation. I messed myself up.
I see.
Okay, so 25 degrees. Nope, 25 degrees would be this one. And then the 18 would be 9, 30, 31.
Yeah.
Yes. So that would work pretty well. And then we just need to bring ourselves to the pole. I mean, 94, quote unquote, is negative 24. So we will keep a note on that. I mean, things are going to get much colder because of the continental spots and things, and the cold current spots. So and then we want the 18 mark.
So what's the... I think that like a lot of what we had talked about before starting this process
85.
is still as we expected. I think Honolulu is wetter, but I think that's unavoidable because of the size we wanted things.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm kind of curious what the inside of the...
That big old isthmus thing in the middle, like where the bulbs kind of link up.
At the in the wide bit at the top, this is where the colder this temperature is, the further down the D climates include, like, I just think of Poland because it's where the border Europe is, right?
So, oh yeah, we can look at if you just give me a sec, we'll look at the coal. We can look at the Köppen and we can talk about it. What would that be? 69.
Nice. It had to be said.
Just for you. Okay. And then the 12, well, I mean, we can say it's 77. I mean, it's... Yeah, we can do 77 degrees. There we go. All right, so next time when we start, we're going to draw the isotherms in, and then we're going to manipulate them based on the iPad. We're going to... are we going to use the iPad? How I did it in the past was... how I tend to do it is I open it up in Photoshop and then manipulate the isotherms as paths. So that is one option. The other option is that I just do it in the iPad and I just draw them with high stroke stability. That may be, and then just have every isotherm on a different layer. That may be more convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Oh, excuse me. But how we're going to be doing this going forward would be, we're going to be finishing the rest of the mapping on that sort of equirectangular one for all of the isotherms. And then from there, we are going to then export it to the, I guess we'll then export that through GProjector to the projection that Nikolai selected for you.
Correct.
And on that one, we will then be doing the climates and stuff. So, you know, we can have, I mean, I can export the, was it Procreate file or whatever as a Photoshop file, and then you can send it to whoever you want to, like, you know, make you a nice version of the map. I think, what was it? Edgar sent it to, I sent my like drafts or whatever to Venga Venga to then make the map. And then like when I do it myself, I just sort of, after I do all the rough work, I then do a proper pass, which made the ones that I presented in the first chapter of the Spec Atlas. So we'll see what shape they're in when we get to the World Building Festival. But I mean, it's not necessarily going to be like, you know, beautiful final product, you know, compass rose, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be, and then we're also not going to spend the same amount of time that I do on like those close climate studies.
Oh, for sure not. Yeah.
Go in all the details. We're going to get like, we're going to have the blobs down, and then, you know, you can work around your contours and, you know, make it more artful after. It'd be sort of interesting to see hothouse climate world building, not going to lie. That was my personal project before doing Dove was Hade or Hyde. I mean, it doesn't really matter. And it was a hotter world. And I mean, part of that is the deserts are, it's also 2 continents that kind of straddle the mid latitudes, like wide. So, but neither of them get into the pole. So
yeah, I see what you're saying.
Like they have very minimal climates on. No, they have some like microthermal climates on them in the northern and like the poleward parts. There's on these main continents, there's no polar climates at sea level. So they're very hot. But one of the other things that happened to them as well is that because the climate is so hot, there is this like much more extreme monsoon that moves between them. So you do end up getting like, you know, some like larger, you know, like CW areas in places. But like the majority of the interior of these continents is just desert. So like you have along the outside, people are living there, and then the inside is a desert. But what I did do was in each of these, essentially each continent has like 2 eyes, and those eyes are basins. And these basins are constantly being filled by precipitation from these like monsoonal cycles. So you do end up having essentially like mini interior Mediterraneans, which is fun. And that was the conceit going into it, something I wanted to do to make them a little less arid. Because if you don't do that, then the whole thing, the whole interior would just be a big desert.
Yeah.
Is a hothouse more humid or entirely the opposite? Well, when you have a hothouse climate, and I talked about this a bit at the end of the footnotes video, you do increase the evaporation. You do increase evaporation, right? And evaporation over the ocean, by and large, is where precipitation comes from. So you do have a more humid planet. You do increase the amount of humidity, the amount of moisture that's kind of circulating. The other thing, though, is that you have more evaporation over land. And because land can become much warmer than the ocean during the summer, the increase in precipitation and may not be sufficient enough to create more humid conditions. So, like, you would rapidly expand how much desert you have as well. So, like, yes, you know, coastal regions may be much more humid, but the interiors of your continents may be much drier. If you made a much warmer world that was like a scattering of archipelagos and stuff like that, super humid, you know, you could probably make a very, very like wet world. If you just have like a couple of very large continents, then you can kind of like pull the monsoon in, the ITCZ, pull it in to create a monsoon, but you're also going to have like huge dry areas. Just because of how warm it is going to be getting. And this is kind of the thing too, like, and this is something I was thinking about for Kreetalk as well, because like Kreetalk is, or Torvald, what have you, like for Artifactian's world building, oh my god, world builder's log. It is larger, like the planet is larger, right? So the planet is larger, and the continents are huge, right? Like even the smallest continent is massive.
Yeah.
So, and then on top of that, the year is slightly longer. So these things mean during the summer, it's going to get warmer on the continents. However, the pressure is also higher, slightly higher. I think it's like 1.5 was the atmosphere. 1.5 atmospheres or whatever, 1.5 bar. So that means that because of the increased pressure, heat transfer is like more efficient through the air. So you also sort of like things become more, the temperatures are a bit more stable. So like if you did that to Earth, if you just took Earth and kind of increased the atmospheric pressure, you know, the temperatures would not smooth out. It would be smoother, right? Wouldn't, you wouldn't see as steep a transition in the you know, your temperature gradient, right?
That makes sense.
But because on Torvald we already we have a longer year and we also have the larger continents, we had to kind of like balance these things, and like a higher atmospheric pressure as well. We being the scientific community aren't quite sure what a higher pressure, how that would necessarily interact with precipitation. Though I think after a certain point, you know, after maybe like 2 bar, it would probably it would probably decrease the amount of precipitation that you're going to receive, because you know, the evaporation would become more difficult. So even though with a higher atmospheric pressure, all things being equal, the planet would tend to be warmer than average, right? Like putting a blanket around the planet. So there's going to be less temperature difference, but it's also going to be warmer. You'd expect more precipitation, but evaporation would also be more difficult. So you'd probably see less precipitation on average. You would also, because there's less temperature difference, you would probably also see less movement of the ITCZ. So, you know, And so I was thinking about these things, but then applying them to Kretok, the planet is bigger.
Sure.
So in the summer and the winter, there would be a subtle, noticeable increase in temperature over the continents, or decrease depending on the hemisphere, right? And then on top of that, the continents are also much larger. So the continentality is more accentuated.
Robust, yeah.
So it's like, applying all of these things and and kind of thinking about their implications. We decided to kind of make things a little bit more humid. Kretok was also cooler, right? Like, I think it was also like a similar, like 13 degrees, like pre-industrial average. What was interesting is that Nikolai put it through Exoplasim, and Edgar like kind of compared them. But what's interesting is, like, in addition to like, I think Exoplasim doesn't necessarily do the best job at modeling these sort of monsoonal effects. It also tends to make places, especially like coasts in the tropics, like a lot more arid than they should be. But what's interesting about the output as well. Oh, and then the other thing about the output of EPS is, like, it stabilizes the temperature, the global average temperature it stabilizes at is just like what it stabilizes at. So here we're able to just plug in and say we're working from 13.5.
Yeah.
For EPS, you can kind of put in a starting temperature or whatever, but the output may not be 13.5. It may not be the same. So I think Kretok came out as like 16 degrees.
Oh God.
And then the EPS Kretok was a lot more arid. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course it's going to be arid. It's warmer. All things being equal. It was pretty similar.
Yeah.
It was pretty similar. I think that the marked thing that was different was that it was like, 2 or 3 degrees warmer, which would definitely turn a lot of the savanna that we had, especially in Janner, into desert, like no question. So yeah, I think that was the main difference. So yeah, let's look at Köppen for a sec, and then we will call it. But this is going to be where our isotherms are going to sit when we start, and what we're going to start applying things to. So that is good to have. I'll bring up a Köppen here. And I will also make it so everyone can see what I'm doing. There we go.
Ooh.
I think this also opens in Google Earth. This is the one that this is what I tend to use when I'm teaching. Here we go. And I like this one because it has all of the latitude lines. You can find all sorts of the different maps here at different sizes and things like that. You also, would want to look in and check to see what where they decide to put their I don't remember offhand. I'll have to revisit it before before class starts in September. But there is always going to be a little bit of different. There is variation in how Köppen is applied.
Sure.
Sometimes, for example, the -2 degree isotherm is used for, the transition from mesothermal to microthermal. Sometimes people use 18-degree average as a distinction between cold and hot arid climates. Sometimes people just use the microthermal distinction, so -2. Like if any month falls below -2, they'll just make it a cold desert. So you always want to check to see how people are applying Köppen, because there's not one way to do it. There are some standard ways, but there's not just one way to do it. So when we're looking at this, the purple ones are going to be our D climates, right? All of the lavender and the magenta and stuff like that. And what normals are these? This would be what is it? Was it 1981 to 2010? Oh nope. They're not using a normal. They are. Oh no. Yeah, they are. This is the normal. And then they also have climate shifts. So they have a bunch of different maps that they use, and you can see it in here where they're shifting it.
Oh yes.
Right, they'll show you up here, and they will be shifting through the normals that they use, and they are also using projections, and they're modeling changes as well. If things keep changing, if things continue as they do, how will things change? And you can see up here there is a 30-year difference in the normals that they're doing. All right, so when we are looking here, this is the 2010 version. Oh, okay. 1901, 2025. Here we go. Climate classification calculated from observed temperature and precipitation data from the period of 1901 to 1925. Great. So beginning of the century. Lovely. But for our purposes, this is fine. So we can see the D climates kind of come in along here and kind of filter in here. The reason why they filter down in here is because of elevation, right? Because you've got like the Himalayas and the Hindu Kush and all that kind of thing. And then we got the Caucasus here and the Armenian highlands and stuff like that in Anatolia. But they extend to over here. The reason why this shift is between the D and the C climates here is not elevation, but a change in continentality, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
The European peninsula, has these large bodies of water around it that help sort of heat transfer and mediate the temperature. And that's why when we talk about, the difference between like subcontinentality and stuff like that, we're trying to mimic some of these changes. I mean, there's like the Carpathian Basin and stuff like that as well that create some fun things. You can see it's more continental than areas around it, but yes. Anyway, so that's neither here nor there. If so, this is closer to kind of what you're going to be expecting. So around 43, 44 degrees is where we're going to see the D climates come down to. I think
look at that. Yeah.
North America is probably going to be like a closer analog to what you're going to have. But if you, were to make but I mean, one thing that's different for you is that your continent does not sort of rise too much above the Arctic Circle, the polar circle. Right, so it kind of stops around 68 degrees or so. So you may, we do have some landmass going up there, but the main thing is that yours is kind of a box located in here. If your continent was still long, but not as wide as it is, because your continent is quite wide, kind of like goes little and then gets big. And it getting out big like that is how we got that kind of continental zone up there. If you get thinner, we can see 40 degrees in South America is still mesothermal.
Yeah.
And that is because of the continentality, right? Like it's right up against the ocean on both sides. So there's, a lot of heat transfer. It keeps it a lot more mild. You only really start to see the transition to a D climate. No, you don't even really see much of a transition to the D climates. It just kind of hits tundra in Patagonia, and you are done for 100 years ago. And looking up here, so we're going to kind of see some similarities here. I mean, you do have, that kind of hooked area. So in a lot of that area up there, you're probably going to see, I would argue you're probably going to end up seeing more sea climates in there.
Okay.
Just because it is more subcontinental and oceanic.
Mm-hmm.
But you do have that kind of like subcontinental pocket. So we may see, we'll probably see the D climates in there.
Okay.
And what's going to be interesting is that you also have that mountain range between it. So we'll probably see a coastal sea climates. And then after we apply elevation changes to the isotherms, those mountains are going to have D climates in there probably, or it may transition straight to polar climates like tundra and stuff like that, depending on the latitude. And then on the other side, it may transition straight into D climates. And then, you have mountains again.
Yes.
That kind of interrupt the, the more oceanic and more continental area. So you may see kind of a seamless transition from the D climates in the kind of western subcontinent into the sort of D climates of that continental zone, which could be interesting. I would say that you'd probably expect to see some stuff like this going on, where we've got, sea climates near the coast, and then there are mountains, and the transition to D climates, right? Like that, you're probably going to see that twice. You're going to see it on the western coast, and then you're also going to see it a little bit alongside your main continental body. Oh yeah, I'm glad I could help. I'm thinking that was more about like the pressure and all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
About EPS. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds about right. So we're probably going to see that flow through. And you do have, and I am interested to see how I do think that you're probably going to see your 0 degree isotherm slightly further north than we see in North America. And that's because of your desert, right? Your desert is like over 2,000 kilometers wide. And we don't really have a similar thing going on here. So your thermal equator is pushed up, and then we're going to be applying your, your hotspot, right? And then that is going to push things further north, especially in the summer. So I think, that pushing that further north in the summer will probably, push up your hot summer climates. So like your CFA, your DFA, those sorts of things. Like this dark green here is CFA. Yeah. Dark green is CFA. This dark magenta color is DFA. So that'll probably be pushed north. Because you have that continental zone and it's a little further north, you'll probably won't see. Yeah, I think you'll probably see it around 43 degrees. More similar to over here. But that would be good. But what's going to be fun too is that you're going to essentially around this, because like this is where your basin is essentially. Correct. Right. So that'll be quite interesting because you've got this big sort of like a lowland area that's going to be receiving a lot of precipitation. I mean, one of the main differences here is that you've got mountains along this coast that kind of prevent a decent amount of precipitation from getting into some of these areas. But yeah, you have like easy access to the ocean. You're going to have like a big open flat area where, water from the mountains, is kind of flowing down and through. It could be a very interesting area to develop. It kind of reminds me of like, where the Jurchens and whatnot were. And while the elites were definitely like equestrian archers, they were farmers. They were agriculturalists. So, I think like, there are going to be some interesting vibes up there.
The millet will grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Mihi Rungery, Mequestrian archers. I don't know.
That'd
I
be
don't know.
lovely, little Justin.
Yep. No, I think that'll be that to me is going to be a very interesting area to see you work through. I don't know if you've put anything up there yet.
We have some ideas.
Yeah.
We have some like
Outposts, maybe.
How many languages did we end up with? It was four, right?
Mm-hmm.
And three of them are over there.
Oh. And three of them are over there. Okay.
Yeah.
Like coastal dialect that kind of like remained, or like it's like very still kind of like retained in that.
Well, the in culture thing was that they invaded over the mountains and down, and so they're like splitting the Yatwal people from one of the sister languages.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
Sorry, Jake. You go and then I'll go.
I think we had been thinking of something like, the Jurchens are better because they're obviously closer to the sea. We were, I think Mongolian in the broadest cultural, well, like not exactly Ulaanbaatar, but that sort of vibe was what we were kind of thinking. But
well, I think there's a lot of very interesting stuff going on in like Siberia. Like there's wheat agriculture and all that stuff practiced in there, and there were periods where you had I don't know, like khanates and stuff like that set up that were, essentially like complex chiefdoms or kingdoms, whatever we want to call them, that were, like engaged in these very, very interesting agricultural systems around the very long rivers you have in Siberia. And people don't necessarily look at those all that much, right? Like when people think of Siberia, and if they think about Siberia and Central Asia and stuff like that, they're thinking about, pastoralist groups. Even though, many of them were agro-pastoralist groups, the agro is often kept out of there. While the agricultural is kept out. I mean, they were very aggro.
Yes.
There were periods of very aggro pastoralism, but so I think there's a lot to get in there. And I mean, people also like, I don't know, I guess a lot of people in conlanging have probably heard of like, the Yeniseian cultures and things like that.
Cat.
Yeah. So, I think that would be, it's like, what if you took some of the, what if we, use some of Ket culture as like a reference and then, decided to take them through a Jurchen period? That could be fun. And then yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that one's going to be interesting to work through because we are going to see, having probably like a DFA coast moving into or DFB, DFC. We'll see coast moving into DW and then into that like B S and BWK. Right as we move in, like moving into the more arid region, I imagine right under that high pressure zone is going to be, a very like cold desert. Why do we see a map of Earth? Oh, we were just talking about some of the expectations for climate zones based on some of the isotherms and stuff that we did. You've reached us at the tail end. We were probably going to wrap up in a sec, but you can still catch the stream. It's always going to be there. We were doing the hot and cold spots and setting up the isotherms. We also had G plates crash on us. But yes, this is a Köppen climate map using data from the first quarter of the 20th century, which is closer to the average temperature for the Boubaverse, which we're dealing with. Yeah. All right. Well, unless you have anything else you'd like to add, Jake and Miles.
Only that you will see us on this Tuesday in a couple of days on our channel.
Yes. Looking forward to Tuesday over on Let's Have a Bouba. Oh, and if you haven't, like and subscribe. If you would like to support our adventures in Lands Unknown, then you can head into the description. There should be a Ko-fi for a one-time donation and a PayPal where you can sign up to be a member of the Speculative Geographers Guild. We also have the link to the Let's Have a Bouba link tree where you can find everything Bouba, including their Patreon, and you can support them as well. And I believe they have a Discord attached to their Patreon. Yes. So you can hang out with Jake and Miles over there.
Yes, I was going to add some stuff. So tomorrow I'm on Maddie's channel, and it's just me and Maddie. I think Bib's occupied. So we'll see what we end up doing. It could be that we start some Korean-inspired stuff, which is a bit scary for me because... I mean, you get this, especially with Japanese, I've found, but with Korean too, is the more well-known the language that you try and talk about is, the more people have very strong opinions about what the correct analysis is. And I've been thinking about this exact problem because of this book again. Like the question of whether there was no gender in pre-colonial Yoruba society or not isn't necessarily relevant if you're trying to world build and you're imagining a culture in which gender is very unprioritized relative to seniority, for example. And Jonathan is joining us on Tuesday, and we're going to finally finish the script.
Yay!
And we get to talk about spelling conventions.
Spelling conventions. Ooh.
Everyone's favorite topic.
Yes, as opposed to spelling bees. The spelling competition convention.
Yeah. And then maybe, as we said, the relay reveal, although I need to check whether Karis will have finished everything by then.
Yeah, that's a little bit of not like a loftier goal, but it's definitely a little bit more in the near future than in the near future.
Yeah, we got to yell at patrons for their wrong choice.
Yeah.
Oh, I realize which one you mean now. This was about matris lectiones.
Yes.
I can't remember the proper Latin. Anyway, we'll see you there. I'm everywhere all the time.
Oh, God.
All the time.
Did you know that I did a sneaky stream with Maddie on the Wednesday as well?
Did you?
No.
I didn't know that either.
She was kind of in her head a lot about the headedness thing.
Oh, yeah.
Not a public one. It was basically me and Maddie like going through everything that she's already created, like trying to piece it together. And it turns out it's ergative. It's also ergative.
Oh, well, that's fun.
Now
because she decided to mark the we as an object the same as we as the subject of an intransitive verb. I was like, you know what past you, Maddie, did? That's not
unintentional ergativity.
But yeah, ergative. Anyway. Yes.
All right. So I think we're going to call it. So thank you, everyone, for venturing into lands unknown with us today. Next week, we are going to start doing the isotherms and then manipulating them based on the hotspots that we made. And because we're only working on one continent, hopefully we can get that done in one session.
Definitely.
Yes. I think Jonathan? Yes. Bouba for real this time. So we will see you next week on Lands Unknown.
Yeah,
Bye.
Bye.